success this season overall?
I don't know. You're always, when it's first done, you're still not happy. So you're still pretty emotional about things. And when you don't make the playoffs, you know, I think you do a lot of self-evaluating as to things that you can do differently. So there's areas that we'll need to change for sure for next year in regards to how we do things. And you have to take some of the lessons that we've learned and the notes that we've made and make sure we're a better team for it next year.
What kind of things do you want to change going into next year?
There's too many to tell you. There's all sorts of things. How we handle the schedule, we've talked about that a few times before. Certain things with the players. There's a lot of different things that we'll have to look at and talk about and make some adjustments for next year.
Obviously, making the playoffs is the main goal. You know, that's what you want. But was there enough to call this season successful without it?
I think when you, yeah, I mean, there's portions of it for sure. I mean, we see a lot of guys up in Calgary right now that are playing, and they're playing in key roles, and that's something that we're very proud of. So in that side of things, yes, we'd consider it a success. That's what we want to see, is guys be able to move on and contribute for the Calgary Flames. You know, no matter what you're doing, the standard's always winning. You know, it's always results, and that's why it's tougher for a lot of players and staff when you don't have the success that you want to have. So individually, we saw some players do a good job this year. We had some stretches where we played very well, but it's unfortunately at the end it just wasn't enough for us to be able to do it consistently when we needed to.
There was a lot of new elements to this team, you know, 7-8 months ago, whenever that was. But this team seems to have been very close-knit, which you might not have expected considering all of the elements. You know, what was it about this group that created such a close-knit team?
Usually when you have a tighter group, you have a few guys in the dressing room that do a good job of making sure people feel comfortable. And sometimes they're not always the most heralded guys in your team, but you know, guys like Trevor Gillies or Matthew Tousineau are people that go a long way in a dressing room to make people feel comfortable. And I think when you have personalities and characters like that in your dressing room, you have the ability to bring it closer together. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it probably felt that way this year with all the changes that went on.
How would you assess yourself in your first year as a coach at this level?
That's a good question. Up and down is probably the best way I can say it. As I mentioned, there's a lot that we have to change and a lot we have to do differently and better for next year. And use this as a good learning experience for us, and make sure that we're taking the lessons that we did learn and apply them to make sure we're better for our organization next year.
Does it feel as, I mean, obviously now you know this organization and everything, but going to a new city and starting over again, you know, is it at least a little maybe easier this time? But you know, what is that? I don't even know how to. Another
good question. I think the part of it, getting it off the ground and getting all the parts in order, I think will be very similar to what we saw this year. I think the one benefit that we'll have next year is we know a lot of the players that are going to be coming back. So in that sense, it's going to be easier for sure, because we know what to expect from certain guys. We know what they're capable of, and we know what we want to get out of them. So that's quite a bit different from what we have this year, being really familiar with the people that you're working with and the players that you're dealing with on a daily basis.
On a personal level, is it hard to, you know, now go move across the country again? Well,
yeah.
I guess last time was to a different country, but across the, you know, coast to coast.
Yeah, it is. You know, you try to set up roots where you are and make your family feel as close to home as you can. And you know, hopefully this move will be one where we'll be for a few years at least, and we can set up some of those roots where our family feels like it's home for us. So we're looking forward to getting out here. Now, having said that, we're out there. Now, having said that, we're going to miss this area. It was great for us for our first move, my family in particular. My daughters have made some great friends here. My son's made some great friends here, and it'll be tough to leave.
Gotta go find a new swim team and hockey team.
Yeah, I guess.